Update. Am I the a-hole for telling my friend she needs a life of her own and she has to stop leeching off of mine? Original story. Hi. My 25 female long-term friend 25 female has a history of doing whatever it is that I'm interested at the moment. She asks questions until she's got a clear idea of what music/books/movies I'm into, and then does a whole act of how she discovered that in front of the whole friend group. Being the pushover that I am, I'm sad to say I've let her do this for some time, while slowly trying to put some distance between us. This also extends to people. Any new friend or even acquaintance I make should be cleared with her. And then she makes a friend move on them to get closer to them. She has even tried to weasel her way into my family gatherings and private events. She also, for some reason, keeps telling my dad that she's like the daughter he would have wanted. He's as confused as I am, but we learn to laugh it off. I've recently noticed that she's rarely interested in something of her own volition. All her leads are from me, and I have been getting tired of her behavior for a while. Things came to a head a few months ago when she started texting a guy, 27 male, I've been speaking to for a while, went on a few dates. Nothing serious as of now, but I'm hoping there would be, and telling him how compatible they could be. He was confused and thought it was me texting from her phone, so he double-checked with me. I, of course, was beyond angry, but instead of confronting her immediately, I told him to ask her why she's doing this, and if she was aware that him and I were almost a thing. Her response to him was to flirt even further and say that her and I always had similar tastes, but went on to mention how he might be better off with her. He sent me the screenshots, and I sent them to her and said, "You need to leave me alone. Things in my life are not for grabs. You have leeched off me for long enough. If you keep this up, I won't have an issue shaming you in our friend group." She got very standoffish. It accused me of tricking her by using the guy's phone to make her look bad. She also proceeded to speak badly of me to our friend group. I might be the a-hole because all this while, other than trying to keep some distance between us, I did not properly voice my concerns. She did, however, notice my discomfort at various occasions, especially my family gatherings. So am I the a-hole for handling things this way? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. Yes, you could have said something sooner, but this is obviously inappropriate behavior. You have good reason to suspect she has known that all along, and isn't a hopelessly oblivious amoeba. I was hoping she would catch on to my discomfort and the timing of me trying to move away, but she would never acknowledge that. That's not how communication works. It's hard, but sometimes the kindest and nicest thing you can do for people is to be really clear about your boundaries. Hints don't work. You have to use words. And remember, just because someone is upset doesn't mean you did anything wrong. Not the a-hole. Share the screenshots with your friend group immediately. Create a group chat with everyone except her, and put them out there. She sounds disturbed, like she thinks she can somehow replace you in everyone else's eyes. Now that she knows she has been caught in betrayal, she's got nothing to lose. She might tell lies to get people to cut you off. Telling them the truth with evidence is the best way to preserve your own relationships. Yeah, I hope he needs to get ahead of this. Not the a-hole, but I'm not sure you understand what friend means, because this girl isn't one. Yes, you're a bit harsh, but I can understand your frustration. Her behavior is beyond steamrolling your boundaries. It's outright disturbing. Every time I try to put some distance between us, she shows up with a personal issue that she can only share with me, and she always guilts me by making it seem like she has no one else to turn to. And every time, so stupidly, I get looped back into the drama. And now for the update. Firstly, thanks to everyone who commented to help me out. Some of it was tough love, but I read every comment and had a chuckle at a few. But it also helped me realize that the issue wasn't as simple as someone copying my interests. So after posting, I rang up one of my close friends to let her know what's been happening. She seemed appalled at how my friend made a move on the guy I was seeing. She also confided in me that she often keeps telling her how good and well my life is, and how she wishes either her family was like mine or her job was like mine, etc. She thought it was just harmless wishing, but when everything was put together, it just seemed so unhinged. I also spoke to my dad and mom about how unnerving it was to have her try and do all the things I do. When they told me that once a few years back while I was completing an internship in another city, she offered to come and stay at my house to keep them company. They honestly thought she was joking because she lives in the same city with her family. and my internship was only for 6 months. So with this new information, I decided it was well and truly the time to cut all contact with her. I have let my friends know that she's no longer a part of my life, and to warn me about plans we were both part of, and most of them seemed to see this coming. I've also decided to stop being around her other close friends. My friends have also told me that they'd keep her from knowing anything about me/my life updates. I was the one who brought her into this specific friend circle. A few of them already did not get along with her, so they were cool with not hanging out with her. After not texting her back for a while, she texted me to say, "Are you seriously going to let this one guy take away our years of friendship?" Something along those lines. And I just said yes. She's kept texting and calling constantly, and eventually sent a message saying, "I hope you and the guy don't work out," and then blocked me. I had refrained from blocking her because I did not want to aggravate her or have her show up at my house. But after she blocked me, I blocked her on all social media and told my parents what's happened. So anyway, I feel better not having her hovering around my life, but I'm sure she's going to try and initiate contact sometime. But this time, I've decided to stand up for myself. Good for you! It is lovely to have an update, so thank you for that. I am glad you have gotten so much support from your family and friends. I hope you can continue to live a happy and healthy life. This reminds me of my sister. She is single white females minus the murderer, whoever she's closest to at the moment. It's exhausting to be around sometimes. I'm happy for you, but I'm also afraid for you. Hopefully she will move on to something else, and she probably will. Do you have security cameras? Do you always make sure your doors are locked? Does she know where you work? Yes, I've recently moved back in with my parents as my work switched to a work-from-home format, and this place is equipped with security cameras, and we have 2 German Shepherds, which I'm pretty glad about. Yikes. Write all of this down with dates and print out screenshots of anything you can. If she ends up stalking you, having this already prepared can be the difference between getting a restraining order or getting ignored by the police. This is deeply concerning behavior, but it sounds like you're doing everything right. I had someone like that escalated to an attempt to harm me, with no consequences from the police, and the stress that's being constantly on guard against a threat is physically and mentally draining. So my advice to you is that she is not a threat just yet. You don't need to become super vigilant. If she intends to escalate things, you will definitely know about it. So for now, just keep being discreet but don't get obsessive. That wreaks havoc in your body. Most likely, she'll find something else to obsess over. If she does escalate in your life again, then you need to take that very seriously as a safety risk. But you are not at that point right now. You're making good choices, and I'm glad that your tribe is protecting you. Next story is titled, "Am I the a-hole for not paying for friend's brother's rehab even though I have the money for it?" I, 20 female, recently inherited money from a grandmother's estate. I didn't tell everyone about it, but I did tell a few of my close friends. Somehow, by the end of the week, everyone in our friend group and other acquaintances knew about a large sum of cash I now owned. And like bees to honey, they started gathering around me and asking for favors. It was easier to decline favors to acquaintances, but one friend, 21 female, asked me for a huge favor, and it put me on the spot. Her brother, 19 male, has been dependent to coke since high school. They've sent him to a rehab center before, but he relapsed and continues to use the substance. They claim that the rehab he previously attended wasn't good or expensive enough, and that's why he didn't get the proper care he needed. She asked me to pay for his rehab, but this would cost nearly $100,000. Our other friends were trying to get me to agree, but I had to decline. I want to be a doctor one day, and I know that taking loans and being broke during med school are 2 downsides to this path. I calculated costs, and with the money I have now, I could just barely get through med school without being plagued with loans or being completely broke. I don't want to give her the money because A, I don't know either of them that well, and B, I don't know if this will help him or if he'll relapse again. I told them I couldn't do that, and everyone is telling me I'm the bad person. They said that this could completely change an entire family's lives, especially that of the dependent brother. They say I'm selfish and have the power to change the life for the better, but I choose not to. They even said I shouldn't even consider being a doctor because I clearly have no empathy for human life. Ouch, that one stung. A lot of people stopped talking to me and Benny calls me selfish. They are blaming me that her brother will be hooked forever and they don't have the money to pay for it. It's making me upset. And I know I shouldn't listen to them, but it's making me wonder if what they said was true. I know I'm not responsible for him, but am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Nobody is entitled to your money. Who has the nerve to ask somebody for $100,000? And you need some better friends. Not the a-hole. That part got me. $100,000? LMAO. Like, who does that? Plus, I didn't see OP mention a plan to pay the money back. Totally irrational, and OP needs new friends. I kind of get it. The family's desperate to get help for their loved one. They want recovery to be successful this time. But I think the family's kidding themselves that the trick to getting the treatment to stick or work this time is to go to the most expensive facility. Rehab only works if the person is ready to help themselves, as so many others have pointed out. I'm not entirely convinced that the family are a-holes because they ask for the money, but the harassment is definitely an a-hole move on their part. Yes, after 2 trips myself, I finally learned my lesson. LMAO. Not a-hole. These people are not your friends. Who needs $100,000 for rehab? Do they want to send him to a celebrity rehab center? His dependency, regardless, is not your problem. And you need to cut out every single person who's saying you're a bad person. That money was left for you, for your use. Rule of thumb though, don't tell anyone you have money. If you can't be sure, they won't tell everyone. It's one of the best rehabs in the state, and it's really bougie, so I think that's why it's so expensive. Either way, I won't be telling anyone else about my money. It does not matter the cost of the rehab. The kid is a bad bet at the moment, and rehab is a waste of money till he's ready to go straight. That decision is not dictated to his family. It is a personal decision. No one can help someone like that unless they want to help themselves. Save your money to graduate debt-free. Good luck in medical school. P.S. No one of consequence is telling you that you are a bad guy. Not an a-hole. Thanks for the well wishes. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for driving away from a hiking trip with my boss's husband? I, female 26, recently moved to a new city after getting a job and have been having a hard time making friends. Most of the people I know so far are from work. We all get along, but we aren't close. More like acquaintances. My boss, Sue, has been very welcoming since I moved. She often has us all over for dinner and loves to celebrate whenever there's a birthday/baby/big milestone in the team. Last week, I was out to lunch with Sue and a few other co-workers when Sue told me about a hiking group her husband runs and how it's a great way to meet people. She said he'd be leading a hike on Monday, this past Monday, and the whole team should go since it's a holiday. Monday was my birthday, but I hadn't told anyone and I didn't have any other plans, so I said yes to the hike. I drove to the meeting spot on Monday, which kind of remote and up in the hills, but nobody was there when I arrived besides Sue's husband, Greg. I asked him where everyone was. He said no one else could make it, and it would just be us on the hike. It was early morning and still dark, and I didn't know Greg other than seeing him in passing at Sue's house. I knew he was probably a nice guy, but I felt nervous going hiking in a dark, remote area with a man who was practically a stranger. I called Sue, and she told me that something came up with her kid, but I should go. It'll be worth it for the view, etc. I still felt unsettled and asked Greg if we could postpone for a day when others can come. He got frustrated, saying it's no big deal, and we should hurry up and start. I got more nervous at that point, and thanked him before saying I was going to head home. That upset him even more, and he came toward me and asked me if I thought he was a creep. He seemed angry, so I panicked and jumped in the car saying I had to go. He kept yelling at me to stop as I drove away. I was on the way home terrified when Sue called me. Apparently, the hiking trip was a cover for a surprise birthday party the team was throwing me at the lookout point. She found out my birthday through Facebook, and Greg was just supposed to lead me there. I felt terrible and offered to drive back. But Sue was pissed and said I'd ruined it for everyone and made Greg feel like a creeper. Now the environment at work is tense. Sue and my coworkers only talk to me when they need something, and they didn't invite me to team lunch. I feel like I really messed up. Not a-hole. They were intentionally misleading you and you got suspicious and scared. Your suspicion was therefore justified. You didn't know what they were actually planning. Your reaction was normal. It's unfortunate that it ruined the party, but in my opinion, they should have easily predicted that a woman alone wasn't going to go on a hiking trip with a man she doesn't know. Just reading this gave me chills, and I still feel uneasy. It's the fact that he suddenly jumped to nice guy that made me scared for Opie. What should have happened was him texting them, "I think she would appreciate another coworker to suddenly show up," and tell Opie, "Oh, looks like blank can make it after all. Let's wait a few for them." On paper, this seems like a super sweet idea, but it's the kind of thing you do for people you know very well. Greg could also have come clean about the surprise when it was clear Opie was getting uncomfortable, instead of jumping to the nice guy routine. Yes, it would have ruined the surprise, but I would rather have a surprise ruined than be terrified for my life with a strange man who just started yelling at me for not wanting to take a remote path in the dark up a mountain with him. Honestly, I still wouldn't have gone with him until it was confirmed verbally by someone I knew that would be there. This is a super crappy setup by Opie's co-workers. Not Dayhall. Not Dayhall. Honestly, I would have done the exact same thing, especially when he seemed to get irritated. And then it progressed further into anger and yelling. That would really scare me, and I would have done the exact same thing. They should have come up with a better cover story, such as, "Oh, others started hiking already, and I waited for you so we could catch up." Better yet, Sue could have been waiting for you instead of her husband, who you barely knew. Yikes. I also see how you could feel bad because you feel like you've ruined the surprise. But they should have planned it a little better. The surprise was really, really nice though. Perfect thought, 0 points for execution. A complete stranger you've never met. And you should go on a hike with him? Alone? And then he acts aggressive. Man, you're a lot nicer than I would have been, even at 26. Also, your boss sucks for putting you on the spot after. You didn't ruin a surprise you don't know about for Pete's sake. Don't forget it was still dark because it was so early. I mean, who throws a surprise party for someone before the sun is up? Total troll.